couldn't conceivably be a better test of the new Tristan Jarry than how he'd handle one of those days when the guys in front of him just couldn't care less. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Bruins 4, Penguins 1. 3 of those goals were scored on Jarry. Out of 30 shots taken on Jarry, Boston, of course, had an empty netter. And that doesn't tell you that the Bruins generated, out of their 61 total shot attempts, 17 high-danger chances. That's a lot of danger. That's a lot of David Pastrnak sitting there right in your face, firing away. The team overall, and Chris Latang in particular, was terrible defensively. Jarry was the opposite, and he remained the opposite for the entire event. He didn't get down. He didn't lose himself. He didn't start flailing all over the place. Early on, and this save caught my attention more than any other, and he had a bunch of good ones. Elias Lindholm came in down the right side, basically alone, faked Jarry down, but Jarry stuck with him, whipped his left arm back and horizontally to take away anything and everything that Lindholm could have been shooting at. And Lindholm ends up tucking it right into that arm, harmlessly. That, if you go back 5 months ago, Jarry is, he's spilt like jelly all over the defensive zone. That's how badly that scenario would have gone. After the game, Mike Sullivan said that only Jarry performed up to par, and he went on to say this about his goaltender as well.
I think he's grown a lot. I give him a lot of credit. He's been through a lot as an individual. He's done a terrific job just staying with it. And, I think since he's come back, he looks different in goal. He's the semblance of the goaltender that's played here for quite some time now and has played real good hockey. I think he's played solid for us. He's making timely saves time and time again for us.
Now, if you've been listening to this program for even just this season, first off, thanks. Secondly, you'll know that I'm not exactly someone with a history of rooting for or backing Jarry. I'm just not. Not because I like him or liked him or whatever. I'm not into that sort of thing. I'm a reporter. But I saw a goaltender who just wasn't good enough, a goaltender who didn't give his team a chance to compete more often than not, and then, most annoyingly, a goaltender who just didn't seem to operate with any sense of accountability or maybe even urgency. Now, I've had several conversations with Jarry since he's been back and since he's played well. And the most I've ever gotten out of him is he just needs to stop the puck. He needs to simplify his approach. He needs to simplify his mindset. He needs to simplify what goes into that precious time space between shot is executed and he reacts. Which I know that's exactly how that sounds. It's like way too simplistic. But then think about that time span and it makes sense. From there, think about Jarry's statistics beginning on that day in St. Paul, Minnesota. I covered that game up there and knew, even though he was coming in ice cold after a couple of months in the AHL, after having really gotten shelled in his final 3 AHL starts, and I could see right away against the Wild that he was totally on. Since that game, including that game, till right now, he's had a 2.81 goals against average, a .904 save percentage, and my favorite stat out of all of these, an .844 save percentage on high danger opportunities. And that is exactly what it sounds like. It's a tight radius around the crease where you are literally the last line of defense. That is a very high figure in that category. He has been very good. But maybe the most flattering adjective that anyone could attach to him is the one you heard from Sullivan. He's different. Now, Sullivan made sure to say different on the ice, but they'll all tell you, and I'll tell you, he's been different off the ice as well. He doesn't seem anywhere near as tightly wound. He's not bitter in any way with anyone associated with the Penguins for having sent him to the AHL twice this season. In fact, he has reiterated emphatically that he wants nothing other than to be a Pittsburgh Penguin. And listen to this from him yesterday about how candid and open he is, and never, by the way, saying, wow, do we still have to talk about this AHL thing? Never does it. Every time he's asked, he keeps coming back with answers, and he thinks about the answers, and he lays them out there. This is what came up when he was asked after this game yesterday what kind of goal he might have set for himself for this final stretch.
Just finishing strong. Obviously, the season was tough for me. It didn't go the way that I wanted, so I think just going right till the end. That's my motivation, and that's what I'm playing for. It's every time you get to put the Penguins jersey on, it's a privilege, and I expect nothing else from everyone else in this room. We're all going to do the same, and we're going to finish this out.
Now here it comes. You knew I was going to say this. No, I'm not buying his stock, but I'm watching it. I'm watching it. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season. From Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from JC, who says DK Chris Latang hasn't seemed himself since Erik Karlsson joined the team. Of course, Latang would never admit it publicly, but Karlsson took over Latang's role on the team and put him on the back burner. Also, Latang has had many different partners, most of them not even top four defensemen. Would you bet on seeing a better Latang if Karlsson's gone? JC, your timing is impeccable because Latang had a game yesterday against the Bruins that would kill, and I mean kill dead, any case that anybody could make to excuse his performance in any context, whether it was the game yesterday, the season that he's had since Karlsson's arrived. He was on for all of Boston's non-empty netters, and he was a prominent figure in all of Boston's non-empty netters. Painfully prominent. And he's been playing like that for the better part of this past month and a half or so. More concerning, if you do go back over the entire season, he never really had one of those Latang rises up stretches. And you know what I'm talking about. You'll see him for a while and you'll go, oh, wow, that's it. He's done. He's toast. And then he just becomes this way better self and holds on to that for a long time. Never happened. Never happened. Never had one of those games where you just go, wow. I mean, he just owned that one. Now, being fair here and respectful of someone who's had one hell of a career, he's 37. So, like most 37-year-old athletes, he can't do what he's always been able to do. And for someone specifically like Latang, who has made a hockey living in taking chances that allow him to use all of his skill and stamina and everything else to cover up for his mistakes, the mistakes are just now laid bare. If he gets beaten at the blue line, he's not just flipping the gears and going back and getting the puck anyway. Not anymore. And then from there, he gets frustrated. And we saw that yesterday as well. Took an early slashing penalty, but where it really stood out was he also took a boarding penalty. This was in the third period, not to mention delivering a completely clean and outstanding hit in the third period on Jakub Lauko. But a hit, you could read from his body language that he wasn't taking necessarily related to the course of the game. He was just in a mood. Now, to your actual subject matter here, I have never seen, not for a split second in the time that Karlsson's been here, that he's had any kind of negative impact on not just Latang, but on anybody. One of the things that was neat about when Karlsson first arrived and he was fresh off the Norris Trophy in San Jose and everything was just a really big deal, and what are you going to do with these two superstars and all that other stuff, was that Karlsson attached himself to Latang, including with their workouts and everything. They wanted before long to be doing everything together. It was actually kind of a neat thing to see for two guys that are that accomplished. And I also know that there's a pattern with Mike Sullivan that when he has seen one of them performing at a level higher than the other, that's the one who's been on power play one. That's the one who's been with the top unit. That's the one who's gotten the stronger defense partner. I just don't see any correlation there at all. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. All I can do is share with you my own observations. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.